and welcome to my channel. Today we are making cake pops. These are super yummy and they're a really fun and easy treat. These are super popular at Starbucks. I know a lot of people get Starbucks cake pops, but they're pretty expensive, and honestly you can make them at home pretty easily, and you can customize them for whatever type of cake and chocolate that you like, and they're super delicious. This video is gonna be very basic, how to make them, how to just kind of decorate them with sprinkles, but I will be making some more videos later on this summer with a bit more complicated designs, so that if you want to make some really cool cake pops, you can check back for those. I wanted to do a blue and white theme today, so you can keep watching and I will show you how I made these cake pops. Okay, so we're gonna start by making the cake portion of the cake pops. So I just have some cake here. This is just like cake scraps that I save, but you can just make a whole cake if you're making a bunch of cake pops. I'm just making a few for an example, so I'm just gonna use these cake scraps so that I don't waste them. And I'm gonna grab a bowl, and I'm just going to break the cake up into pieces as I put it in the bowl. I'm gonna kind of avoid these super crusty edges just because they won't be quite as good. And then I'm going to take some buttercream icing and just add a tiny bit. So you can mix this up with a hand mixer or your standing electric mixer, or you can use your hands if you don't have those or you don't want to get another thing dirty. Just make sure your hands are super clean, obviously. And I'm just gonna add like a pinch. If you have more cake, then you'll need a little bit more, but basically you're just going to mix it in. I like using a hand mixer normally, but I just wanted to show using my hands today. Just going to mix it in. And you'll know when you have enough because you'll be able to form a ball pretty good. I'm gonna add like a tiny bit more. It's kind of like acts as glue, and I think that is good. And then I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper down, and I'm just using this like little ice cream scoop. It's like a small one because it makes a good size, but you can definitely just use a tablespoon. That works really good too. So I'm gonna kind of just fill it up like that. And then roll it in my hands. Whoop. So once you have your dough, you want to just kind of work with it like this. Just to get out any like bubbles and whatnot, and then roll it till it's a nice ball shape. Then I'll just put it down on my parchment paper. Okay, once you have your little balls like this, you're just gonna wanna put them in the freezer. I'm gonna pop them in there for about 30 minutes, and then I will do the next step. While those are in the freezer, I'm gonna get ready for the next step. So I need to get my Cakesicle sticks out. You can find these at Walmart, at Michael's, any sort of store where you're getting your craft supplies and baking supplies should have these. And they're just like nice white sticks like this. Sometimes they're called cake pop sticks. You can also, there's ones that are called lollipop sticks that are basically exactly the same. And then you're also going to want to get some chocolate ready. So you can use white chocolate, milk chocolate, all sorts of different types of chocolate for these. I'm making these to kind of look a bit like grad colors. So I'm using this nice dark blue, but you can really use whatever colors you want, but you're gonna wanna use the same color for this step as you are for the final coating. So you're just gonna get a microwave safe bowl and pop just a few. You don't need very much chocolate for this step. Just enough to put the stick in, get it chocolatey, and put it into the cake pop, so you don't need a ton of chocolate. And I'm gonna melt this in my microwave on half power for 30 seconds at a time. You can also do it over top of a pot on the stove if you don't have a microwave. Okay, so I got my melted chocolate right here. It's just blue. And I'm gonna take my stick, dip it into the chocolate. You can be quite generous. And then I'm gonna stick it into the cake pop about halfway through, like that. Push it through. Perfect, and then I'm gonna pop these back in the freezer once again so that the sticks really get as hardened in there as they can, because it can be quite annoying when the cake pops fall off the sticks when you are trying to dip them. So you want them to be nice and set. Okay, for the next step, I'm gonna get a piece of foam. I'm just using a really tiny piece because I'm not doing very many, but you can get much larger pieces of foam at craft stores. And it just makes it easier to stick the sticks in here while they are hardening. If you lay them down or try to stick them in like a glass, they just end up not turning out as perfect as you want them to. So I'm gonna get a piece of foam. I'm also gonna get a glass like this to put my chocolate in. So I'm melting it in the bowl, the same bowl that I was using before. Then I'm just gonna put it in here. It just makes it a little bit easier to dip the cake pops if it's in a glass. If you're adding any sprinkles, you'll also wanna get those ready because you're going to wanna put your sprinkles on while the chocolate is still warm. So I'm gonna be doing some little white balls like this. You can really do whatever you like. I got my chocolate. I'm just going to stir it around a little bit because there's still just a couple little chunks in here that I want to get completely melted. And I'm gonna grab my cake pops from the freezer. I'm actually just gonna dip mine in the bowl, but if you have quite a bit of chocolate and are doing a lot and you can fill your cup quite high, definitely put it in a cup. It'll make it easier to dip it in like this. I just don't have a ton of chocolate. So when you're dipping them, you don't want to like dip it and kind of twirl it and stuff because they are kind of delicate and they will probably fall off of the stick. So I'm just going to get all my chocolate inside, just kind of gently cover it. With the chocolate. And then I'm just gonna hold it up like this for a couple seconds so it can drip off. And then I'm gonna stick it in my foam. Like that. And I'm gonna add some sprinkles. And then the chocolate will just get nice and hardened. And then I will just repeat the same process. Get all the chocolate on the end. Just kind of very gently. Gonna go like this. And then let it drip. This one, I'm going to just be adding sprinkles like this. And then you can just leave them to dry in the little foam like this. And they dry pretty fast. Like this first one that I did is already like hardening up pretty good. And then they'll be ready to eat. You can also pop them in the fridge or the freezer if you want them to get hardened nice and fast. And if you want to add drizzle on top, you can do that once this layer of chocolate is hardened. I'm just doing sprinkles for these ones, nice and simple, but you can add drizzle and you can also like attach different things and make them fancier. This video is just nice and simple how to do them, but definitely in a later video, I will make some more complicated cake pops and we can experiment a little bit more. Okay, so that is all you have to do to make some cake pops. These are really quite easy to make, and if you buy them at like Starbucks, they're like $2 to $3. I'm not actually sure, I've never actually bought one from Starbucks, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty expensive. So if you can make them at home, it's a lot easier and you can decorate them however you want. You can use whatever flavor of cake you want, whatever flavor of chocolate you want. Milk chocolate is delicious, white chocolate's delicious. Dark chocolate, if you're a fan of that, also delicious. So you can make all sorts of delicious cake pops at home and have them decorated for whatever occasion that you are doing. I have also done some cakesicles, which is kind of a similar type of treat, so I will link that video up here. And you can check back again in a couple weeks. I will do a bit more complicated decorating techniques for cake pops. I've done ballerinas before, or animals, different things on the cake pops, which are super fun. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.